Hello students, my name is Monimika Mehdi, um, faculty of Social Work Program, Humanities and Social Sciences, Assam Downtown University. Well, in the last class, we have discussed about the meaning and concept of social work along with its introduction. And today we will be discussing about various objectives and functions and basic assumptions of social work. So, first of all, I would like to tell you about a brief introduction on social work, which we have already discussed in the last class. Um, Basically, what you have understood maybe from the last class that social work is basically helping people to help themselves, right? Um, we have to be involved in helping others so that they can help themselves. Here's a short story about this quote, which is so much important in social work. Like I think you have heard the quote, like give a man a fish and he will feed for a day. Teach a man how to fish and he will feed for a lifetime, right? So the story goes with that short story that I mean, there's a poor guy who lives near the river and who doesn't know how to cook and all. Okay, he lived with his wife. One day his wife died, and after that he had to live alone, right? And he didn't know to cook, so he was like, "How to cook? I don't know to cook." And what he will do? He then he went to the city and started begging, right, in the footpaths. One day, a guy comes in who was a social worker. Okay, he comes in. He see the man, and then he asked like, what happened? What is your story? Then the man, the beggar, he told the story of his wife's death, and then the man gave him a fish and went away. Right. The social worker was very intelligent. Right. He will tell the he will see how the man will react. So he gave that day he gave the fish and he went off. So again the next day the social worker came to the same beggar and gave him the same fish, okay, and then he went away. So it was like the beggar was waiting for that social worker every day to come so that he will get the fish and he will cook at home, and he learned to cook somehow, and he will eat the fish, right? So one fine day, after 3 4 days, one fine day he will come, and then the man, he will he will tell the beggar that, come, let's go to the river and learn how to fish. The both of them went to the river. They took the uh, boat, and they tried to fish. Okay, the social worker got a fish. The beggar also got a fish. Okay, both of them, they exchanged greetings that, okay, we have got a good fish. We have got a bigger fish, right? So so that's how. I mean, from the next day, when the social worker went to that beggar, the beggar was nowhere to be seen. He was not there at all in the footpath. So the social worker instantly came to know that, okay, the beggar has learned to fish, and now he will be able to feed himself for the lifetime. So that is the basic thing of social work, helping people to help themselves, right? So with this introduction, we will start with the objectives. Like, social work deals with the scientific solutions and treatment of social and individual problems. So basically, social and individual problems are so much important, right? And it happens to all of us. Its main aim is to increase human happiness in general. Therefore, social work has been focused towards the attainment of two goals. That's the first, the creating of those conditions which help to make a more satisfying way of life possible, right? And the second is develop within the individual as well as the community that helps to live more adequately and creatively, right? So, teach the man how to fish. So that's the most important part, right? Now we go to the next part, that is objectives. So there are a lot of objectives given. We generally follow the objective of Professor Friedlander. So the first objective of social work, in the words of Professor Clark, are to help people make such use of their own capacities and of environmental resources as well, which result in personal satisfaction and adjustment. Right? I hope you have understood the word. You know, make use of their own capacities and environmental resources. Right? The individual have to make use of their own capacities, how much capacity they have, and with the help of environmental resources that can result in personal satisfaction and adjustment. And the next one is to help in modification of the environment so that people will have few personal and social problems. So, you know, if the environment is somehow hampering the person can modify the environment so that he will have lesser personal and social problems, right? According to Professor Friedlander, social work seeks to assist individual, group, and community to reach the highest possible degree of social, mental, and physical well-being, right? So, you know, that's how he defines social work, like to basically assist every individual or a group in you know, and the whole community, you know, to reach the highest degree of possible mental social, mental, and physical well-being. So there are some emerging objectives of social work which is very recent, like material security, for example, through economic and political organization that will assure every individual and every family the means of satisfying basic material needs. Next one is the emotional security, that is through personal and social adjustment. So all these emerging objectives, you will come to know in the when you go through the whole course, right? In the second year or maybe in the third year. So the third one is social achievement through collective effort, through community or group effort, and spiritual power through philosophical or religious thoughts. Okay. So basically the general objectives of social work includes this 10. For number one is to solve psychosocial problems. It can be individual, it can be group, it can be family, it can be any relationships, right? It can be a community as well. So the psychosocial problems like mental problems or psychological problems, as we say today, psychological disorders or social disorders, right? So, that's basically the most important to solve them. To fulfill humanitarian needs like love, affection, care, etc. Right? Basically, if someone is not getting love or affection or care, obviously that person needs help, right? So the social worker will try to fulfill the humanitarian needs of a person, right? And number three is to solve adjustmental problems, you know, and it can be environmental adjustment, it can be relationship adjustment, anything. To create self-sufficiency, that means you know, make the make the man, you know, learn how to fish, right, so that he can eat for a lifetime. So basically to create self-sufficiency so that he can provide for himself at all times. Then to make and strengthen harmonious social relations. Yes, social relations, making a strong bonding with your peer groups or your family is so much important, right? So basically to make and strengthen harmonious social relations is very much important. Next one is to develop democratic values among people. Like everyone, you know the concept of democracy, I believe, that, you know, everyone has the right to vote, right? In a democracy, everyone have their right to speak. So basically to develop democratic values among people so that, you know, you need to listen to everyone before deciding on something, right? If you are living in a community, you have to think not only for yourself, but you have to think about your whole community, and the others also have to think about the whole community. Next one is to provide opportunities for development and social program, right? Yes, that is very much important to make people, you know more about various opportunities involved in various developmental and social programs. Then to provide social legal aid to the needy who can't afford. There are so many people who needs to, you know, need so many help in various government initiatives or various government programs or projects. So, you know, to provide them with social also, as well as legal aid or help to the needy, to the people who cannot afford. All right. Then to change the environment in favor of the individual's growth and development. Um, yes, you have to modify the environment at times, which can help the individual grow and develop. Then again, the last one is to bring change in social system for social development. Yes, you need to bring change, some kind of change in social system, right? If for example, if you, I mean, you won't be happy if you are discarded because of your caste, right? Just for example. So if you are belonging from a lower caste, that means the caste system itself is a social problem. So to bring change in that social system or that social problem is very much important for a social worker to bring social development in the community or the society. Next one is the functions of social work. So there are a lot of functions in social work. Okay, basically we divide it into three functions, that is the curative or remedial function, the preventive function, and the developmental function. What it says is social work operates to assist individuals in adjusting to the institutional framework of society and attempts to modify the institutional framework of itself in the appropriate area. Right? So you need to be having you need to do assist individual in adjusting in a lot of institutional care and society and environment. Right? So how do you do that? So these are the three functions. We'll see one by one. So basically the first one is the curative or remedial function, which is also known as restorative or rehabilitative function. It's basically what it does is to assist individuals and groups to identify and resolve or minimize problems arising out of disequilibrium between themselves and the environment. So anything which creates a problem, which he is not able to adjust to, right? For an individual, there is a disequilibrium which is not equal between the individual and the environment. So if there is no balance between those two, that means they need help, right? So what the social workers' main function is to assist them in individual or the group to identify and resolve problems arising of this imbalance. Next is the curative aspect that seeks to remove factors which have caused the breakdown in person's social functioning. Yes, so if the person is not able to function in the society in a normal way, then the most important factor will be to remove the causal factor of the problem, right? Why the person has not been able to function in the society in a normal way. So that factor we need to identify and try to remove. The next one is the rehabilitative aspect, that is to try to put back the person to a normal or healthy state of social function. Yes, after that problem is removed, then we can again put the person back in its normal and healthy state of social functioning, so that from there on he can perform his social activities in a normal way. Right. So one example for curative aspect is helping a girl who engages in prostitution for a living to change her ways through counseling relationship and effecting necessary changes in her home or environmental conditions. The rehabilitative aspect could involve help her avail herself or opportunities for schooling, skills training, and legitimate employment. So this is how we can help to remove the prostitution from her, and build such a type of environment from where she can avail schools, or she can go to schools, or she can develop her skills in various activities and get a suitable employment which is legitimate to the society, right? Prostitution is not legitimate to the society, right? So that's how we can give a curative function to the, we can help in a curative and functional manner, remedial functional manner to a individual. Okay. Next one is the preventive function, that is to identify potential areas of disequilibrium between individuals or groups and environment in order to prevent occurrences of the disequilibrium. Okay, see, we have already talked about imbalance, right, between the person and the environment. So if to prevent the further occurrence of that imbalance in future after we do the curative part, so that is when we do the preventive part, right? After doing the curative part, then we do the preventive function, that it should not occur again in future. Okay, it's called as relapse. If someone is having if someone has the problem of smoking, right? After a lot of counseling and therapy, we as social workers will try to negate the smoking habit of the person. Okay, for 1 year everything was fine, but after 1 year, the person again will try to smoke. So that's how what happens is our preventive function has failed. So that's called a relapse. That process is called a relapse. If the person starts doing again after some time, it is known as relapse. So how to discontinue relapse, right? You have to make sure that the preventive function occurs properly. So this involves early discovery and control and elimination of those conditions or situations which may have a harmful effect on social function. So since the person who was smoking, right? So he tried smoking because he was stressful. So again, maybe after some time, when the person is finally cured or treated, he loses the ability, habit to smoke, right? But after that stressful situation comes back to him, suppose after a year, maybe he again starts to smoke. So what we have to do is make sure that the stressful event does not occur, because stress is always in the mind. If you take it in a negative way, obviously stress will happen. So to further prevent those occurrences, preventive function is very much necessary. Example of this function include counseling on premarital and other family problems, sex education of youth to prevent early marriages, sexual abuse, and working for enactment of laws and policies that will help prevent abuse of women and children. Okay, so I hope you have understood this preventive function. Next, we go to developmental function, where the development function seeks out, identify, and strengthen the maximum potential in individuals, groups, and communities. So basically, what it does is to identify the strengths of the individual or the society. Okay, the aim is both to help the individual make maximum use of their potentials and capacities, as well as to further the effectiveness of available social or community resources. So what it does is basically make that person utilize their potentials to the fullest, right? Examples of developmental function would include helping unemployed person and underemployed breadwinners, or who earns, right? Unemployed and underemployed breadwinners to avail themselves opportunities for skills training, while at the same time providing necessary supportive services. So they can avail themselves for other opportunities, like skills or any other where they are good at, right? And including that, we can give some necessary supportive services. Now we come to the basic assumptions of social work. Okay, what people generally assume was social work. Okay, about social work. So basically, what it says is social work is a new profession. Okay, it requires not only intellectual activities, but also requires great individual responsibility. So many think that social work is just like another course, but actually it is not. It is not only an academic, but it is also a practice-based profession. Okay, so even though it is a comparatively new profession, but social work is basically it is academic, no doubt, but it is more practice based. You have to practice in field work, right? You have to practice in the open, so that you get to know about the community and the society, or wherever the environment you work. Understanding human personality and the world or their environment is very much important for professional social worker. So understanding the human personality and the world, right? It is very much social work in basically and social work is basically like, you have to understand the human personality to its fullest. How every person every person is different, right? Every person is unique, so it differs how people will respond to whom. So understanding that human's personality is very much important, and also the environment they live in, that is also very much important. Social welfare and social work are not same, even though it feels similar. So many people think that social welfare and social work is basically the same thing, but it is not. Well, social welfare includes many institutions like family, religion, education, economy, which it has to include. Okay, but it is not very much necessary in social work. Social work can at least you can only one institution can be worked on, like the individual or the family. Okay, or maybe the education or the economy. The next one is social work has its own process and techniques, and involves much more than skills. So many think that social work is just about skills, but it is not. Social work has its own process and and its own techniques, which involves much more than skills. So this about all these things you will learn in your simultaneous years, that is in second year. Second year, most of the learning is in the second year, where you learn about casework, group work, and community, which we'll discuss in our next video. Um, The next one is social workers must have extensive knowledge and information about the resources available in a particular community. What does the community have? What kind of environment the community is built in? Okay, if it's a hill area or if it's a plain area where there's a river, where there's just a lake or no water. So the social worker needs to have the extensive information about the community that people are living in and about the resources that are available in the particular community, so that the essential services can be provided, or the essential services can be generated, or social welfare can be done. Okay, there. Next one is the social worker is concerned with the needs of individuals and with environment that causes personal problems. So basically the individual's needs are very much important according to their environment. The interaction with the person and the situation is the main focus of the social worker. So basically those are the basic assumptions of social work. In conclusion, I would like to say that what we have learned, we learned about the various basic objectives of social work. We also learned about the various functions of social work, right? The curative function, the remedial, the preventive function, right? And the developmental function. And also we have learned about the basic assumptions of social work, what people think about social work and why and what it is. We'll also discuss so many concepts in our next videos, like the misconceptions of social work. We'll discuss about social welfare, social service, social security, okay, social legislation, human rights. We'll also discuss about methods of social work in our next video, which is very much important, where you have to know about all the methods, the primary methods and the secondary methods. Okay. We'll also discuss about the principles, various principles of social work, which is the most important thing in social work, where you need to know the principles at all times. And also we will learn about um, um, the history, right? The history of social work, how it has evolved. So so basically we have uh, summarized our whole learning today, and I hope you will be there in our next video, where we will learn about the methods of social work. Okay, so thank you for today. See you in the next video.